everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. 12 days, y'all, 12 days. And can I say how excited I am that there are lines for people? And, well, no, let me take that back. I'm loving the voter turnout. I find it somewhat problematic that there are long lines because sometimes long lines can be a deterrent, but y'all are showing up. I'm seeing lines in Hamilton County. I'm seeing lines in somebody tweeted like a Hobunk County. I don't even know what a Hobunk, Indiana town is. I don't know what that is, but yo, I believe 2024 gonna be a year that they don't fly over Indiana no more. They're not calling it a 6:01 Eastern time, even before the Central Time Zone even finishes off their election. It's not happening. But you know, the funny thing about this time of year, right as you get towards the end of the election cycle, strange things happen. You know, there's people are getting testy. You know, folks are anxious. When people thought they had a shoe in, things don't seem to be going their way. So look, I like comedy. I used to do stand-up comedy back in the day, and sometimes I find certain things humorous. So my rant today is not really a rant. It's just me laughing at people. I normally don't do this because, you know, I really don't like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel some kind of way, you know, sharing a story from a local candidate, but who was also a part of the media, but I gotta do it anyway. So y'all know who Abdul Hakim Shabazz is, right? He's a reporter. He's a member of the press. He has, you know, his own blog and his own, you know, he does his own thing, and he's got a pretty, you know, he's been around a long time, right? So he has a pretty good reputation in certain circles, political circles here in Indiana. And he also ran to be the mayor of the city of Indianapolis as a Republican. Now, listen, say what you want. I don't understand how somebody with the name of Abdul Hakim Shabazz, who is a black man, runs as a Republican in Indiana. But yo, that's his thing. But every time he gets around one certain Republican, one horrible Republican, Ty Rokita, they be having words. So I want to share a story from Abdul. Abdul Hakim Shabazz has filed a complaint against Ty Rokita. The basis of the complaint centers around comments Rokita made a couple of Sundays ago in the Fox 59 CBS 4 In Focus debate with Democratic candidate Destiny Wells. Full disclosure, Wells and I have, as it says in the debate, full disclosure, Wells and I have always had a good relationship, as I do with 90% of the political class in Indiana. During the debate, the issue of pay came up from the attorneys in the office. Rokita stated, "You quit because you didn't get enough pay. Other people stayed because they didn't care about pay." Wells asked Rokita if he read the letter, and he responded yes. So it's at this point that Hakim feels like Ty Rokita violated the law. He states, "I argued that Rokita violated the law by disclosing the contents of that letter in her personnel file. That I maintain was a violation of the rules and professional conduct. Under Indiana Code," and I don't even know what the I in the squiggly thing is, 514-3-4, "the personnel files of public employees and applicants for public employment are confidential with some exceptions." So in this debate, I watched the debate. I was supposed to do a thing on it. I haven't done it yet. But in the debate, Ty Rokita basically tells the world why she quit. And then she asked point blank, "Did you read my letter?" So he went into her personnel file, read what was in it, and then went on Indiana television and told what was in that file. Child, you can't make this up. But it's adorable that Abdul is the one that's filing the complaint. And he goes on in his article and says that other people are looking into it, blah, 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 blah. But the reason why I even took notice of the complaint, because I had heard about it, I knew it was coming. Abdul retweeted today. So Ty Rokita had a press conference today. And then, so Abdul tweeted, at Ty Rokita was asked today for his response to my complaint I filed last Friday. He said, I don't find him legitimate. If you listen to Abdul, you're listening to the village idiot. My response, which is Abdul's response, is at least this village idiot will still be able to practice law next year. Shut fired. Yo, I don't know about y'all, but the fact that the black Muslim Republican continues to get called out by Rokita, and then Rokita gets called out by Abdul, is funny to me. They've been going at it for years. They've been warring for years. Abdul had to file a complaint because Ty Rokita wouldn't give him a press pass. Like, this goes way back. And I've talked to Abdul about it, and I'll be like, bro, why these your people? How come they not treating you no better? I really never get a good answer because Abdul is he's a smart guy, right? And he never comes out and says, they're racist or they're petty, or he just, he says that maybe it's a personal thing, and that's okay. I respect that. But bro, dog, you and Ty, he won't even give you a press pass. But y'all two Republicans fighting each other. Two Republicans fighting each other. I just think that's humorous. And, with 12 days to go and the stress levels are high and everybody's anxious about what everything is going on, I just found some humor in Abdul filing a complaint against Ty Rokita. All right, but that's not all. There's a little more. It's a little more. The Indiana Capitol Chronicle reports, loser, deadbeat, embarrassment. That's how the Indiana Republican Party State Committee described Libertarian gubernatorial candidate nominee Donald Rainwater in a mailer that is hitting Hoosiers' letterboxes. Of course, Abdul got it because he a Republican. A mailer was sent out the mailer that was sent out accuses Rainwater of losing custody of his child, failing to pay child support, and being held in contempt by a judge. Now, that's a lot to put on a mailer. That's a whole. I mentioned it last week. They was coming for him. I didn't know it was that bad. Perennial loser and deadbeat dad, it reads. Donald Rainwater is an embarrassment. But Rainwater said he's resolved his legal issues that is listed in the mailer. Okay. But the Democratic Party, we had to chime in on it. It is never a good sign when a campaign resorts to attack ads against a third party candidate. Party chair Mike Schmuel said in a news release. Braun and state Republicans are worried about Jennifer McCormick's momentum and will try everything to slow it down, even attacking a third party candidate who has little chance of winning. Schmuel called the mailer the move of desperate campaign. So it is desperate because Rainwater is not pulling Democratic votes in his third party bid. He is pulling Republican votes. And Jennifer McCormick and Terry Gooden have done such a great job getting their message out across the state. They're not that far behind, right? They were like at 47%, 45%, 42%, right? And Donald Rainwater in 2020 pulled 3 to 4% of Republicans. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker when we think about all of this politics and the strategy and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Mike Braun didn't get his lieutenant governor choice. He didn't get it. He got that wackadoo, Micah Beckwith. Micah Beckwith went on Fort Wayne radio station last week and said that if you do not assimilate, you got to get out of our country. Bro, are you the Borg from Star Trek or what? This guy is horrible. And so now you've got somebody that's on the ticket that the Republicans are going, oh, shoot. Yeah, that rainwater looking kind of good right now. 12 days left, y'all. And all the shenanigans will be coming out at this point. Buckle up, baby. Just remember, come on and attend our rally. I know Fort Wayne is having one, Lake County is having one, and there's one down in 9th District on the same Saturdays. But look, come on out. Let's get hyped up. Let's get volunteers. Let's ready to knock some doors, make some phone calls so we can get both Destiny Wells, who's running against pitiful behind Todd Rokita, and let's get Jennifer McCormick over Mike Braun and his horrible running mate, Micah Beckwith. 12 days. Let's get it, y'all. That's my rant. I thought it was humorous. My bad. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. Democrats, are you looking for an affordable digital content creation solution? Then look no further than Black Pearl IT Solutions and Black Pearl Studios. Indiana's own Dana Black is providing many of the communication wraparound services any Democratic organization needs. No matter the size of the budget, Indiana's own and Black Pearl Studios have you covered. Just scan the QR code or visit www.blackpearl-its.com. All right. Y'all, 12 days. 12 days. And the best part of all of this is that I still have more candidates to talk to. Oh my God. Listen, this is the best part of the work that I do, is getting to meet and talk to and share the love that I have for these Democratic candidates. Okay. So first up, this is my first time. I've talked to him a couple times because, you know, at Act Blue, I get to meet all the candidates. And he's a fiery fella. I believe y'all gonna like him. Y'all give it up for my first guest running in State House District 52, Walt Sorge. Walt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dana, thanks so much for the invitation. It's great to talk with you.
I love it.
A few million people in your audience.
That's it. Few million. We're gonna claim it. And my fellow Indiana Stonewall board member this time, y'all give it up. Running in State Senate 24, Veronica Pedro. Veronica, welcome to the show again.
Thanks, Dan. It's a pleasure to be back.
Y'all, I normally my rants have, you know, more serious stuff in it. But was there anything in my rant that y'all found interesting at all? Veronica, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, Dana, first, let me thank you again for giving both Walt and myself the opportunity to be here this evening with you. I think any time that folks on the other side are expending their energy against one another is time that they're not spending their energy working against us.
Yes.
And so I consider that a net positive, no matter what it might be.
I love it. What about you, Walt?
I find it hilarious that Todd Rokita keeps shooting himself in the foot and counts on the people of Indiana to keep supporting him as he does so. But you got to learn to express yourself, Danny. You're just so laid back when you're critical of them.
I'm gonna tell you something. I think y'all don't have to agree. Well, y'all can agree with Todd Rokita. Garbage. He's straight up trash, right? He listen. He spends Indiana dollars going down to the Texas-Mexico border when he should have been trying to get that $700 million back, that Medicaid money. He's a clown. And if the way that he did Dr. Caitlin Bernard, the way he did her, oh my God, lies. He's a clown. And he's a bootlicker of the highest degree when it comes to the Orange Menace. Was that expressive enough, Walt? Did I get it?
Okay, you're getting there.
You know, Walt, this is your first time on the show, And the whole goal is to get people to support you, to volunteer for you, and most importantly, donate to you. If you want to donate to tonight's candidates, please click on the donate link. All the proceeds will be split between the two candidates. Well, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm kind of a newcomer to Indiana. I chose to move here about 3 years ago, purely for family reasons. My grandchildren live now a mile away from me rather than 120 miles. I spent most of my life in Michigan, in and around state government. Learned an awful lot in the nearly 50 years that I spent in state government or around state government, and I can name drop Michigan politicians till the cows come home, fill the whole hour. I'm just going to name drop 3 of them who are all good friends of mine, that people I've known for a long time, and I'm very proud to be friends with all 3 of them. One of them is a woman by the name of Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh my God.
I've known Gretchen for more than 20 years. She was my state representative. Her father and I have been friends for nearly 50 years. And in fact, I remember when we were playing golf and he informed me that his wife had just given birth to a daughter. Wow. And that daughter was Gretchen.
Oh, wow.
I've also been friends for nearly 50 years now with Senator Debbie Stabenow.
Ah.
Debbie she started as a county commissioner in Lansing, Michigan, and when she became a state representative, I was the speaker's press secretary at the time. So I started working with her way back then. And a third one, somebody I got to know a little bit later, but has been a friend now for more than 20 years, is Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm, who I first met before she was in public office. I was the assistant executive director of the State Bar of Michigan, and Jennifer was on our board.
Wow, Walt, bro.
I'll give you a fourth one too. For my radio reporting days, 50 years ago was the first time I met Irvin Johnson.
Okay.
Irvin went to high school a mile from where I lived, and I covered his basketball games when he was a sophomore in high school.
Love that. I know how I felt when I met Dr. J for the first time, so I dig it. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Whoa, but bro, you got grandkids. You've already done 50 years of public service. Why aren't you sitting back putting your heels up?
Well, it's like the fireman who hears the bell ring. When I got here, the first election I voted in, we didn't have a candidate on the Democratic side for state representative. Oh. And that irritated the living daylights out of me. I don't think any elected official should run unopposed for reelection. I think they owe it to the voters to earn their reelection. And our state representative here was just sitting happy as could be, collected a lot of money from special interests, it turned out, no money from his own constituents for his campaign. In fact, in the last 4 years, he's collected $250,000 in campaign contributions. And of that, a total of $1,200 came from constituents. Wow. All the rest from special interests, about a third of it from the liquor industry.
Oh, wow.
But the reason people can't accuse me of being a carpetbagger coming down here to expand my political future. I'm living in a district that's kind of red. It's like a 70% Republican district. Mm-hmm. This is not the place I would choose if I was just in it to advance myself in politics. I came here purely for family reasons and found a town in Auburn, Indiana that I absolutely adore. So it's a real win-win for me. And because I love politics, I got active in the party initially, not because of the election, but just to meet people that weren't crazy.
I love that. Veronica, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Wow, I gotta say, I'm just floored by Walt's story, and I thank you for sharing that. I found it so engaging. I'm Veronica Pedrell. I've been here in Indiana a little bit longer than Walt, maybe 30 years or so that I've been here. But I'm also a Hoosier by choice, like you. And I've lived here in Greencastle for almost 20 years. So I've been calling Putnam County my home for pretty much the majority of my adult life now at this point. And I love this community. It has done so much and given so much to me. And part of why, I got involved in party politics here in Putnam County is that I wanted to be able to give back to my community that has given so much to me, particularly now that my kids, I've got twins who actually just turned 30 earlier this month. And now that they're on their own and done with college and being successful here in the state of Indiana, I might add, kind of bucking the trend of our brain drain from our great universities. We're excited to be engaged in local politics here in Putnam County, which is perhaps a more surprising area than folks in the Indy Metro or the Northwest region might give us credit for. So,
I've been down there. I know.
We've done good things in Greencastle. We made history 5 years ago when I was elected to Greencastle City Council. Here in our small rural community, we elected our state's first openly trans elected official. And at that time, just 5 years ago, there were only 18 transgender folks who were elected to any office anywhere in the United States. And now there are 18 openly trans folks who are on the ballot this fall for state legislatures everywhere from Florida all the way to here in Indiana and out to Hawaii.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, Veronica, this was a banner year. Actually had 3 trans women on the ballot this year. Some of them didn't come through the primary. Two of them did not come through the primary. But like, yo, that's what government is supposed. You ain't got to, whatever your feelings are about whatever, everyone deserves to be represented. So you are one of my sheroes, and a Hoosier and forward. You know, I'm gonna always like toss a bunch of accolades on you because you know how much I love you. But wait, what? You last year what happened?
So we had a challenging municipal election where 32 years of Democratic leadership in our mayor's office got swept out by a 12-year serving clerk treasurer and a full ticket, and folks who just pulled that straight ticket lever. I think that one of the things that we could do to advance better representation in our government would be to start with getting rid of that straight ticket ballot lever on our ballots this fall and going forward. So sometimes we get swept under the long coattails of someone with a strong campaign at the top of the ticket. And one could say that I think Walt would agree with me that we're excited for the top of our ticket, both here at the state level and nationally. I can affirm, you may have seen the article from Washington Post. They put this out in every presidential year, showing where donations are coming from every zip code across the country, right? And I can affirm that. So that data that just came out today, I can affirm that here in zip code 46135, we have 56% more individual donations going to the Harris ticket than to the Trump ticket.
That is great data right there, baby. That's
and 50% more actual dollars going to the Harris ticket in this zip code.
I love it. And, most of that money flows through ActBlue. Y'all know how much I love ActBlue. Listen, apparently the Texas AG is trying to figure how to get somebody to make it less easy for people to donate. See, ActBlue is about democratizing, right, this political process, and it makes it easy for people to donate to candidates that they believe in. But the fact that the Harris team was raising $200 million in 15 minutes, they're like, hold up, we don't want people to participate. Y'all, this is one of those years, though, right? I wish it was just about policy. This year, at every level, whether it's at the national level or at our state house, it's not just about policy. We've got people who want to overthrow the government. they want to toss out the Constitution. You got Micah Beckwith, who wants to make his version of Christianity the version of Christianity. He wants to, ban books and all the things. Talk to us, Walt, about what your feelings are about this. You just told us you've been in politics for 50 years.
Right.
What are you seeing about this 2024 election cycle that has you? How does it make you feel?
It kind of reminds me of the 1856 election in a way.
Funny.
No, really, because what you have then, that's when the Whig Party died.
Okay.
And the Republican Party was formed, because the Whig Party basically drove itself into irrelevancy. I have a lot of friends who are traditional Republicans. My father, for crying out loud, he was a political appointee of both Nixon and Reagan. My brother was a Republican member of the New Hampshire House of Representatives. And what I see and what I hear from my Republican friends is we've got to slay what we've got now so we can fix this. And they're not talking about having a new party, but what they want to do basically is to kill this Republican Party so they can bring back one that's no longer a cult, which is what you're seeing now. And you're seeing a lot with the John Kelly announcement, the interview in the New York Times, and then a 36-year Republican member of Congress, Fred Upton, announcing not only is he endorsing the Harris-Walz ticket, he's already voted for them up in Michigan. And more, what I'm hearing from the crazy wing of the Republican Party is they don't care what any of these people say. They don't care how many Republican leaders from the past and from the present, for that matter, are endorsing Kamala Harris. They just listen to one person and one person only. And to me, that's the definition of a cult. And it is, as John Kelly kind of hinted, that's what brings very bad people to power.
Yes. Veronica?
I think it's important that we have balance in all of our public discourse. And honestly, I'm afraid for our country at the level that we don't have agreement about what is true and what is untrue in our civil discourse today. And I look forward to a day, hopefully soon, when we can have honest and an honest discourse, because I'm going to say it, Dana, Democrats aren't always right about everything.
No, they're not.
It's important that we have balance in our political conversations, because we can do more good things as a consequence of that. That is so important. And, I experienced that in public service in our city council here in Greencastle. When we walked into city council chambers during my term of service, we left our R&D hats at the door, and we all went to work for what was best for our Greencastle community. And I long to see that kind of constructive discourse and conversation happening at both the state and national level soon, but it may take some challenging moments still for us all to go through before we can get to that point.
Yeah, and I both of you guys raised some amazing points. In that, one, you gotta kill it and then let it come back the way it was supposed to. I actually thought, Walt, in 2016, I literally kept saying there is no way the Republicans are going to let him win that primary. Like, I just knew they were going to do their Republican shenanigans to get rid of the clown show. And when it didn't happen, I was like, oh, that they created a monster with their Southern strategy and all the other things that they created over the years. They created a monster, and it didn't help the globalization and automation and people losing jobs and all the things. I also have to mention, guys, all three of us are in protected class status. All three of us.
Yeah.
And if we go the way of what his chief of staff has called a fascist, I read the history books and I saw what Hitler did to the minorities and the elderly. and the queer, right? When you take it in personally and you think, if this thing happens, you know, do I fight or flight? What do I do? You know, I know we're not speaking into fruition because it can't happen, but it's that real for us. Walt?
It is something where we really have a contrast now between the two approaches to campaigning. On one side, you've got a political party that really is trying to talk about building bridges between various constituencies and various types of people. On the other side, they're basing their whole campaign on building walls, literally and figuratively, and trying to divide us as best as possible. I look at Veronica and say, for crying out loud, you're number one on their target list right now, because they see that just as they did gay marriage during the W. Bush campaign. I think it was in 2004, and before that, it was the McCarthy era of calling everybody a communist, which they're doing again now, of course. Trump does
they
that.
just lumping them all together now because they don't know the difference between a communist, a socialist, and a fascist. So,
or if well, that's if you look at Trump's constituency from an education level, they have they're less informed voters, shall we say?
Yes, look at you.
Mostly non-college graduates, and I got nothing against non-college graduates.
Right.
I spent most of my adult life in a town where non-college graduates sort of ruled the economy, because we had 2 auto assembly plants, and those UAW workers, for the most part, were high school graduates who worked their butts off and made a very good living, but they didn't go to college. So that is. There's nothing wrong with being just a high school graduate, but it is something that they're taking advantage of. They're feeding them misinformation. You can't keep up with the fire hose of lies that come out of the Republican ticket. My God, Donald Trump, by the time you've fact checked something he said, he's come up with 10 new ones, and he repeats them so often and so convincingly that a lot of the people who don't follow politics and who don't follow the news closely, they just take it at face value because in Donald they trust.
Oh my God!
They don't realize the man's a career criminal.
Right.
He's the P.T. Barnum of our era.
Oh my God!
Combined with Joe McCarthy.
Okay, and Veronica, you take out the felon immigrant portion of their attack, right? You know, trans folk are just being dragged through the mud right now, and it pisses me off because no, I am not trans, and I do not understand what the journey is like. But I'm gender nonconforming, and a lot of things that you go through, a lot of it, not everything, but a lot of things that you go through, I go through because people don't know what my gender is, and I'm not one to run around talking about my pronouns because I like having fun. I like to keep them guessing. So, talk to us about.
You know, Dana, the level of discourse against gender nonconforming people, and honestly, for folks who haven't had an opportunity to get to know somebody who's gender nonconforming closely, or see them serving as a teacher in their community, or as you know, somebody who's on their city council, or somebody in Delaware who's running for U.S. Congress. Folks will make assumptions. Folks have for centuries made assumptions about people because of the way they look, or the way they talk, or the way they might worship differently than you do, or who they love. And you know, the fact of the matter is that I have more faith in the American people, I would say, than perhaps those folks who have already spent over $100 million nationally in television attack ads that particularly focus on against transgender folks. The fact of the matter is that so a new poll came out just a few days ago that said that nearly 3 in 4 voters, 74% of voters, including 58% of Republicans, agree that transgender people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
That's it? What's wrong with the other 40-some%? What the hell's wrong with them? You're human.
They don't know transgender people.
Doesn't
That's a
matter.
big part of the problem. To get to know people who are different than you is a real key to getting to understand the people who are different than you.
Maybe I'm missing something, because it does not. I shouldn't have to know someone to believe that they deserve the exact same respect that everybody else does. I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, there's a natural tendency to be to be nervous around something that you don't understand. Newness. People tend to react a little conservatively to something that's different than what's in their life. And I found I grew up in a very white neighborhood, and when I got to college, all of a sudden I've got a black roommate, and that was wonderful. I learned so much from him.
Okay, so we already realized that you are at least older than 50. Okay, we know this by the stories you've told.
I'm
and
75.
You literally said that you were in an all-white town, and when you went to college, you had a black roommate, and you were like, "It's great," because you saw the human. And I don't think the fact that you had only been in a space with all white people made you say that it was okay. Your human nature said it's okay. You have to teach hate. You have to teach people to hate and not want to see another human as a human. Indiana's own Dana Black. Turn left. I am having a riveting conversation with candidate for state representative, State House District 52, Walt Sorge, and my homegirl, Veronica Pedro, who is running for State Senate District 24. Remember to click the donate link and help these candidates out. All right, guys, let's talk about the issues that are happening right here in Indiana. We're going to start. It seems like the biggie, no matter how I try to slice it and get it and divvy it up, education seems to be at the top of mind. And as you guys will be in the State House, you will be voting on, all kinds of policies, right? Veronica, talk to us about how you are looking at K through 12, pre-K, post-secondary. How do you view Indiana's education, the public school system, and what we're doing right and what we could be doing better?
The Indiana General Legislature, the General Assembly has already sold the farm with respect to public education, and sold it off for vouchers to give wealthier folks who live in areas that to give them subsidies effectively to send their kids off to schools where their kids can go and be with students who are like them. It is an opportunity to circumvent Brown v. Board of Education. Quite honestly, the whole voucher movement started as a consequence out of Brown v. Board, and has picked up steam as folks feel threatened by the fear of the different, as you and Walt have so eloquently described. My mom was a school teacher for her entire career, a public school math teacher at the middle school level. My son one of my sons got his degree in math ed from Purdue, and went on to teach for 2 years up in the region at a high school up there. And realized that his experience as a public school teacher resembled nothing like what my mother's experience was like during her time teaching in the 1980s and 1990s. Now, I am all for education becoming more modern as we move into the 21st century. But, and I'm an educator here at DePaul University in Greencastle. But the important thing I think that we need to recognize is that education needs to be fair for everyone.
Yes.
That our state constitution demands that we provide common education for all, free of charge. And I think that folks who have been on the other side, who are so excited to be attaching state dollars to the backs of students as they go to private schools that discriminate not only against people who they might choose to hire based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Witness my friend Shelley Fitzgerald, a great school counselor. Look, Indiana has the worst ratio of school counselors per student in the nation, and we don't need a state legislature that's making it more difficult for great school counselors to be doing the jobs that they're trained to do.
I love it. That's a great freaking answer. I love it. Well, talk to me about public education here.
Well, in the district that I'm running in, the only non-public schools we have here are charter schools that are run by religious organizations, which I find highly objectionable, that I should be forced basically to support the religious education of somebody who doesn't share my faith when they could be going to a public school that really needs the resources. I ask people, how would you feel if the Moonies or some cult decided to set up a school and was demanding tax money? Would you feel differently than if it was just basic Protestant sects that were setting up these schools? It reminds me a little bit of what the doctors used to do before they got smart. When somebody had a fever, they would literally cut open a vein and bleed you, believing that they were getting the bad stuff out of your body. And that's what they're doing in the public schools. They're bleeding the public schools to try to cure them, which to me makes no sense at all. It's silly.
It is silly. And what happens is we end up with an undereducated society, which then, companies aren't coming here for, the workforce that is prepared and ready to go. And then they created these silly little, new diplomas with work requirements where on my last week's show, they were talking about how, these rural communities, where are they going to work? Where they going to work?
And they're going to be competing with the folks who, folks who are already college graduates or already in the workforce high school graduates who are already in the workforce and working for low wage jobs. It'll be a race to the bottom here in rural Indiana.
Yeah.
There is really convincing data that shows that the percentage of your population that has a college degree is directly proportional to the economic wealth of that state. The most prosperous state in the Midwest is Minnesota, in the Great Lakes region, and they've got by far the highest graduation rate.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I can already tell as this conversation is going on, y'all might be too smart for the state house, but I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna. Okay,
No, some of them are just too dumb for the state house. That's the problem.
That's what it is. That's what it is. They just have that R behind their name. Okay, another biggie. Let's get it out of the way. Woo, reproductive health care. Walt, you got grandkids. You got any granddaughters?
I have a granddaughter. I have a wife. I have two stepdaughters. And I shouldn't be making medical decisions for them. Now, in the case of family, they will talk to me about it. But when push comes to shove, it's their call all the way. I see no room in the bedroom nor in the exam room for state government.
I love that. Veronica?
78% of Hoosiers want to have a direct say using a ballot initiative here in Indiana on Indiana's abortion law. And I am here to work toward that goal. We've seen other states like Kansas, other states like Ohio,
yes,
move forward and let the people have their say on freedom for reproductive rights. And I don't want to be the one who's making the choice for anyone. But I want the people to have a direct say on this. And I realize it's going to be a slog to get us to that point. But I trust the people of Indiana to raise their voice on this super important issue.
I love it. Jennifer McCormick, which I'm excited about, was now, of course, Rainwater has always been for legalization, full legalization for recreational use of marijuana, cannabis, whatever you call it. Jennifer McCormick has put out, hey, she wants to do a phase it in, medical marijuana, blah, blah, blah. We've also seen that not only is abortion good when it's on the ballot, but when you put the ability to legalize marijuana on the ballot, it also drives up voter turnout. What is your thoughts behind legalizing marijuana?
I think we need to legalize it for two basic reasons. One, it is fiscally irresponsible not to do so when we are surrounded by legal marijuana now, especially that Ohio had their referendum to legalize it. I live about 35 miles from the Michigan border. It is not a problem if for somebody who was one of my neighbors to get some weed legally. They can just drive up to just the other side of the state line, or they can go up to Coldwater and they'd be more than welcome. More importantly, fiscally, is we are losing tens of millions of dollars in Indiana taxpayer money that is going to the states of Illinois and Michigan. They estimate in those two states that roughly a quarter to a third of their tax revenue from marijuana comes from non-residents of those two states. It's also hypocritical, for crying out loud. We collect a lot of tax money through the regulated sale of alcohol and tobacco products. Yeah. And both of those products are much more dangerous to health than marijuana. Yeah. And for us to say, well, marijuana bad, gin good, is just hypocrisy.
Oh, Veronica, he's killing me today.
I'll say cheers to that, Walt.
Especially the gin part, right?
Right. I'm a vodka girl.
You follow me there, Walt. but in all seriousness, I live about as close to Indiana as Walt lives to the great state of Michigan, and I'm
close to Illinois.
What did I say?
Indiana.
I'm here in Indiana, close enough.
One of those states.
Yeah. Close enough to Illinois to make it about an hour's drive to get to a dispensary in the land of Lincoln. So that like Walt said, that's just sending dollars out of our state that could benefit everything from our schools to our roads. To giving opportunity for us to find new and creative ways to reduce our taxes, including our property taxes, which have been a real strain on our seniors with the increasing valuations on homes that folks are living in that they might have paid off, right? So we need to explore all kinds of creative tax strategies. Now, I'm for legalizing marijuana here in the state of Indiana, but I will tack on that's only one piece of a strategy to gain new forms of revenue, including joining the majority of the states in the nation that have a progressive income tax structure. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest that once someone is over $250,000 in adjusted gross income, that there be a different bracket above that, just as there is for federal taxes at the IRS level. Yeah. Because a flat tax that, as we have it here in Indiana, is regressive. It is hurting the poor and the marginalized more than any other community.
Oh, wow.
Especially when you've got one of the highest sales taxes in the country.
Oh, we do.
Precisely.
Yeah, and people don't even realize that. They think, they don't even know. And we got one of the highest gas taxes.
Yep.
And don't get me started on the pink tax, because menstrual products and so many things that are exclusive to women are taxed. Yep. When they aren't for men. Yep, or similar products.
Yep, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, now I want to turn to what you guys are hearing as you are in your communities. When you're out knocking doors and you're having the opportunity to talk to your constituents, what are they telling you? What are they saying to you?
Well, a couple of things that I find disturbing. First of all, I hear some misogyny and some racism directed towards the vice president. They just don't trust her. She's a liar. She's unqualified, which is ridiculous when you take a look. You look at her resume.
I don't even listen to that garbage.
Well, I've got to listen to it because I'm in Trump country.
Yeah,
and that's what goes on here.
But
I hear a lot of people. I hear a lot of people saying.
Well, let me be more specific. What issues are they talking to you about? Forget that mess, because that's what I want to know what issues they're talking to you about.
they're talking mostly, I think, quality of life issues, things that affect them directly. I don't hear a whole lot about the cost of groceries. And now with the gasoline, I paid $2.85 a gallon today for gasoline, so that's no longer an issue, although some people may not have noticed that. What I'm hearing is quality of life and the need to change the mindset of this state so it's more attractive to young people. Marijuana legalization is a part of that. Reproductive health care freedom is a part of that.
Really? You're in
Young people,
Trump country, you're hearing that?
Well, I hang out with the right people.
Okay, but you got to be out here. You're campaigning. You know, trying to get people to vote for you. You got to be talking to, you know, asking the questions about what they need or what their pain points are, right?
Yeah, it's certainly the inflation is a major issue for everybody. Part of the thing that bothers me and why I think we really need better civics education, we need to improve our public education tremendously in a lot of areas, is people don't understand what causes inflation, what causes the price of gas to go up especially. It's more complicated than what they think it is. And of course, Trump tries to dumb it down because it works to his advantage. Yeah. And also, people have very short memories.
Oh my God!
I hear a lot about how things were so much better under Donald Trump, and I say, well, yeah, 4 years ago the price of gas was $2 a gallon because nobody was driving because they're all staying home. Our economy shut down, and they forget those things, and you have a tendency to whitewash the past pretty quickly. Yeah. And that's a lot of what I'm hearing. I also hear a lot of Trump's lies repeated, which really bothers me. We at the county fair, this one guy kept walking by and he was screaming, "Oh, you guys, you're all with Tampon Tim,"
that's just dumb.
Which is based on misinformation. Yeah. And you hear things like that, and you hear a lot of basically Trump's lies being repeated by people whose only sources for news are what they hear from Donald Trump and what they hear on Fox News or Newsmax, or they see on what used to be a bad social network and is now horrific with Twitter. Yeah. They don't trust anybody. Yeah. Trump has been so effective at knocking down the credibility of all sorts of institutions. He's attacked the judiciary. He's attacked the intelligence community. He's attacked academia. He has attacked the media incessantly, so that, like he said at one point, the only thing you can believe is what you hear from me. Don't believe what you hear or see. Only believe me.
Yeah. So what are you hearing, Veronica?
You know, when we cut through the noise, Dana, at the national level, I'm hearing challenges that go beyond the kitchen table issues of higher prices, which of course are a concern and can be addressed with tax policies like I proposed a moment ago that put more money back in folks who make less than the pockets of those who make less than $100,000 a year here in the state of Indiana. But what really disturbs me right now is what I'm hearing in my community in Putnam County with respect to the mental health crisis and substance use and overdose here in the state, and the way that we respond to it. I actually today spent 6 hours in a day-long symposium that our community foundation was holding, that we're bringing folks together from some of our surrounding counties to strategize about solutions that others are putting into place to help provide immediate care, just-in-time care that is resourceful, efficient, and also doesn't leave anyone out at the fringes because of who they are. Really great conversations we had today. I'm delighted to share that just in the last week or so, our director of EMS here in Putnam County has secured a 3-year grant to bring our first efforts at developing a full-time mobile integrated health program to our rural area, which will mean that rather than when somebody's in a mental health crisis and at the edge of suicide, they are rather than being hauled off by a law enforcement officer to the emergency room. They're going to be met with a team, including a mental health professional who can be part of the evaluation process and give them the possibility of being able to get immediate care in a facility that might, quite honestly, save their life, both or in the either in the short term or in the long term. This is something that's near and dear to me. I lost my oldest sister 7 years ago to overdose. I work in this space, in the nonprofit space, to help with a nonprofit I work with to distribute Narcan here in Putnam County. I also lost a brother-in-law about 30 years ago to a home gun safety accident, and it's still raw. It happened at his brother's house, who was a law enforcement officer, and the gun that was involved was in fact the service revolver. That was loaded. The story's a little too long to go into.
Yeah, understood.
But we can do better as a state with respect to passing and enforcing home gun safety laws that don't infringe on anyone's Second Amendment rights, don't infringe on anyone's rights to keep and bear.
You know, that one's a tough one because you got people who literally think, without any training, that they're going to be able to protect somebody with a gun other than to shoot themselves. Or that then you have those people that do the training and they go out and get these machine guns. And now we have this, no permit carry when you got, I say it all the time, and I'm glad you brought it up because I say it all the time, Veronica. I fit the description. So now that there's no permit carry, if a cop runs my plates, they're going to see my name. When it used to be that when they run your plate, they could see if you had a gun permit. Now there's no permit. They don't know if I have a gun or not. And because I fit the description, Mr. Twitchy Pants will decide that, I'm threatening him after he pulls me over and my life could be over. And I've never even owned a gun in my life. And
so we're all less safe as a consequence of it, right?
My God.
Every one of us is less safe as a consequence of it. And the real kicker is the conversation at the national level with respect to gun safety, right? So many of my friends on the other side of the aisle for decades have told me I keep a gun in the house, not to keep me safe from an intruder so much, but in case a authoritarian government decides to come after its own people. We have a presidential candidate on one side of the ticket that is literally saying those words.
But what are they gonna do against a tank, Walt? Well, they got a gun for an authoritarian, and they bring in tanks and aircraft carriers. What they gonna do with their pistol?
Yeah, me against the United States Army. That sounds like a fair fight. For crying out, it is absolutely insane. But I sympathize with you, Dana. One of my sons-in-law is black, and he tells me the stories of what he goes through in a relatively enlightened community up in Michigan, in Lansing. And I hear his stories, and it really shakes me to the core. Some of the things that he has to go through. One of the first bills I would introduce, if elected, when elected, let's say, is a safe storage law. I am tired of reading stories about 2-year-old kids who either shoot themselves or shoot somebody else because they mistake somebody's unsecured weapon as a toy.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. There were, I understand, I think I saw on NBC, there were something like 50 kids killed, infants killed, as a result of unsafe storage in a year. And that's a small number for an entire nation, but it's still 50 too many. There's no reason for that. It's insane what, and if you need an AR-15 to protect your home, you're a really bad shot. If you really want to protect your home, get a shotgun. You can't miss.
Goodness, right? Guys, can I just say, first of all, this was a really fun fun turn left. Like my cheeks are sore from giggling and laughing, and you guys are. I need another hour to talk to y'all, but we can't tonight because we got the debate. But Walt, your experience that you're going to bring to that state house is going to be invaluable because you're going to bring a different perspective, especially from being in Ohio, in Michigan, and you're going to show these. I hope you sit down and talk to Wesco and school him on how to be a real nice guy. And Veronica, you're a professor, you're a doctor, Dr. V. I love you, so it's different. And you're going to bring a totally different set of experiences into that state house and give JD some help because JD been in there fighting that rainbow fight all by himself. And I'm excited. But guess what? Our time is up. But, time flies when you are having fun. Veronica, tell people where they can find you.
Sure, and thank you for all of you for bringing so much joy to this conversation. I wasn't sure where this was all going to go, and I do appreciate. My cheeks are hurting too. Folks can find me in a number of ways. So I'm blessed or cursed, depending upon your perspective, to have a super unique last name, Pejril. And if you Google that, your whole first page is going to be all about me. And so I'm an open book on the internet, right? And the first hit will be our campaign website where you can donate there. That's also Veronica for Indiana.com. But if you can spell my last name, you can find me.
I love that. Do you have any events coming up? Volunteer opportunities?
We are doing phone banking and text banking primarily at this point because we are doing our best to reach out to those voters who haven't yet voted. And we are running those numbers and chasing those votes as we go right into election day. So we've got a form to fill out on the website, or you can email campaign@pejril.com and we can get you hooked up with our volunteer coordinator and let you know when things are happening.
I love it. You are so organized. That's why you are secretary. I mean, listen, Stonewall be getting her done. Walt, do you have, tell the people where they can find you. I'm all excited.
Okay, everything on my social media and my website has the same basic address, and that's SORG, S-O-R-G, the number 4, freedom. And the website would be...
mispronouncing your name this whole time, and you didn't correct me?
I would never correct you, ma'am.
But your name is Sorg, and I am so sorry.
Not to worry.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you. You said Sorg for...
Sorg, the number 4, freedom.com is the website.
Right.
That's also my handle on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those other horrid websites, social media websites as well. We have an event coming up just this Saturday. We are having a costume Halloween party as a fundraising event. It is designed to be fun. I've promised people no speeches. That we're just going to have a fun evening, and the link for that is available on my website.
I love it. I love it. Guys, thank you so much. I want to let you go because it is 7 o'clock and that debate is coming on. I have really enjoyed this conversation today. Thank you so much for taking time out to talk to the people. Woo, y'all, that was fun. That was so much fun. Guys, tune in. Go ahead and switch over now. Don't watch me anymore. Go watch the debate because it's the last one. Get your last feel in. And I will have 2 more guests for you next week. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.